there's no clarification. I'm not talking about contracts, period. Players, coaches, or anybody else's. No, I don't plan to.
Maybe the reason why the Steelers gave Tomlin that extension is not necessarily just because, that's what they do, but they're fearful that they might hire somebody like that. Belichick may actually make sure that the Patriots win more Super Bowls than the Steelers in their history. That might happen if the Patriots win the Super Bowl again this year. All right, they both have 6. We get it. But then at least you would have, a more charismatic coach in the press conferences than this.
However many practices it was, 10 in the spring. We're doing the same thing today as we did all spring, so. But there's always a few bumps in the road in training camp. That's part of training camp. We have a lot of people working on a lot of different things. Eating, sleeping, staying in a hotel, practices, walkthroughs, lifting. So there are things to work out with a large group of people.
Yeah, Mr. Excitement. This is why he was hated in Cleveland. I know that was a million years ago, and now he's the greatest coach ever and all this. But still, though, the Patriots, they got a new player personnel director. Okay, the Patriots did. And that's where you say, won't discuss the contracts. Bill Belichick. Here we go. How do the players even know what he's saying here? And all this. What's a play called, coach? Well, run the ball up and say 65 horsepower truck. How is this effective? I don't know, but and he's revealing so much.
I have never talked about contracts. I'm not going to start talking about them now. So I don't know why you would bring it up.
I always like that when a coach, thinks he's also the editor. Why do you bring it up? Please. Why do we bring it up? Because, we're a reporter. We need information. There's something called freedom of speech in this country. And then Bill Belichick becomes the Baron von Raschke of the NFL coaches. That is all the people need to know. Perhaps one day he will apply the claw to reporters or something. That's what eventually will get him canned. Okay. You want to know what the worst radio of all time that I ever... You want to know what... Actually, I listened to it because I thought it was the... I was like, this is going to be so delightfully painful to listen to, okay? But the Cleveland Browns last year, 1995, WKNR, the sports radio station in Cleveland, and they had a thing called the Bill Belichick Show, and it was like a 5-minute interview on the Monday after every game that the Browns play. All right, so it's 1995, but it's, it's sponsored and there's commitment to do it, and I'm sure that Belichick gets a little bit of cash for it and all this. Bill Belichick was the most hated coach you have ever heard of when he was in Cleveland. No, Butch Jones was Mr. Popularity compared to Bill Belichick. Honestly, oh my God, you have never heard a more hated coach. Even when he went to the Patriots, I remember my man Mike Trevisano doing a whole radio bit that the only thing that Bill Belichick was going to do with the New England Patriots was clean the toilets. You heard me. Kind of fanned on that one. But that was the way Belichick was thought of in Cleveland. Browns have announced they're going to move to Baltimore. They've just played their last game of the 95 season, so there is no more Cleveland Browns. Bill Belichick is the most hated man in town. WKNR still had to do a Bill Belichick show. And that's still his personality, mind you. There's no, I'd like to really thank the fans of Cleveland for their support all this time and all that. No, he's still talking about, the year Vinny Testaverde had as a quarterback or something like that, He's still talking about Andre Rison's season, why the Browns lost 7 of 8 and all that, That's what he's doing. The last Bill Belichick show, after the Browns are going to leave Cleveland in 95 and Belichick's the most hated man in town, and he's going to lose his job. Everybody knows that. That was, I ought to call up WKNR, see if they got a recording of that. I mean, that, if you want to talk about the most painfully awkward yet delightful, if you were to say, today we've got a TV special, it's going to be stand-up comedians who fail. You're going to see Michael Richards, you're going to see, you're going to see some of those bits that Andy Kaufman did when he wanted to fail just so he could, take a dive and all that. You're going to see, yeah. That would be the Bill Belichick show after the last Browns game in 95. There you go. That sort of thing. But not something that is going out of business, but something that is coming into business is Food City in Irwin. And there's a new Food City in Irwin opening their doors this Wednesday, and we want you to stay tuned to this radio station, 1420 WEMB Sports Radio, as well as listen into Livewire 103.9, and we'll have more updates. I'm sure we'll tell you what the specials are and all that. I got to tell you something. It's going to be worth coming out of town for. It's worth being there at 8 a.m. in Irwin on Wednesday, because when in the world are you ever going to get fresher food than when a supermarket opens up? I mean, you've got to pick the corn right off the stalk and then, cook it on the pot yourself. I mean, is that what you got to do to make it fresher? Just about. So you're going to want to go to Food City on Wednesday. Opening day begins at 8. It lasts till midnight. You can even shop online at foodcity.com and pick up your order. It's stocked for you. Everything old is new again. That's how, before Piggly Wiggly, that's how grocery stores were. You gave your order and they fetched it and they brought it out to you. Well, now, see, people, it's like, guys will love this. Got to bring that back. It's like, yeah, I had my order. I wanted my bacon. I wanted my coffee. I wanted my, tofu. I wanted all that sort of stuff. That'd be quite the eclectic mix of grocery bag in the grocery bag, wouldn't it? Got Concord grapes coming out. We want that. You can never go. They're only a few months away. Concord grapes. I love those. Anyway, you can buy them at Irwin's Food City, which is open up 8 a.m. on Wednesday. Stay tuned for more details. And like I said, foodcity.com. That's where you're going to want to place your order and just pick up the food. You ever do that? You ever ask? I mean, talk about Asian House and all this. I know you can do this. I've seen so many people at Asian House where they want to pick up their order to go. I wonder at goasianhouse.com. Yes, I'd like to phone it in and order my food, and we'll be arriving in 10 minutes. No, we'll eat it there. I mean, that's, of course, a lot of times they'll box it up to go in and you can eat it there if you want to. I mean, that sort of thing. I mentioned this briefly yesterday. I wasn't all that happy on the amount of time that I gave it, but, Mariano Rivera was in the Hall of Fame, and we talked a little bit about how sports and politics mix. We talk about ESPN and, how they cover sports. I don't know if they're the only ones, though. And I'll give you an example. The Daily Beast, Robert Silverman, did a piece that goes, let me count the pages here because I printed them out here. Let's see here. I'm up to 4. Up to 5. I'm up to 6 pages, basically trying to paint Mariano Rivera into, I don't know, a hide in the bunkers guy. And he says that over the past 3 years, Mariano Rivera has served at the pleasure of a racist president, which I really kind of think is interesting because I wasn't aware that Mariano Rivera was on Donald Trump's cabinet. And, the idea of Donald Trump being a racist is subjective anyway. But anyway, he has taken part in thinly veiled propaganda on behalf of a far-right government in Israel. See, now we have a guy who's showing his own politics, and the writer's name of the Daily Beast is Robert Silverman, more than look at the scary Mariano Rivera. Anyway, Daily Beast has basically, in 2 lines in the 6-page article, they've called, as Silverman has, Rivera an openly extremist and Islamophobic. He's evidently Pastor John Hagee. Evidently, Mariano Rivera likes John Hagee, who is an evangelist pastor in Texas, who, to be honest with you, has been pro-Israel, pro-moving the capital to Jerusalem, things like this. And, of course, the line serving at the pleasure of a racist president. That's, Donald Trump has actually responded. He has tweeted out congratulations to Mariano Rivera as the president on unanimously being elected to the Hall of Fame. Not only a great player, but a great person. I am thankful for Mariano's support of the Opioid Drug Abuse Commission and Fitness Gov. The fitness. And then President Donald Trump even uses the hashtag #EnterSandman. Now, Mariano Rivera did an interview yesterday. They even asked him, why do you use #EnterSandman there, Mariano? What's that all about? And he basically says, if it was up to me, I'd use a gospel song as my entrance music. But, I don't know, what would be a good Christian song for a relief pitcher? There you go. That's going to be something to think about. And I got to admit, I'm not really big in gospel music or Christian music. I worked as a baseball broadcaster for the Rio Grande Valley White Wings. We had a secretary. She always loved to have that on in the office, which is fine. It's just that, if, we wanted to listen to the ball game that was on in the daytime or something like that and flip it on. She went, no, we can't get, I'm not sure if I can get that station back. It's a local station, for crying out loud. So we had a little, But no, after a while, started liking Carman and all this sort of stuff. It's just like anybody who plays the radio in the office. Hopefully you do so with 1420 WEMB Sports Radio. Regardless, he did say that if you were going to do entrance music Christian song, I'm thinking Stryper's Always There For You. That's what I would do if I was a relief pitcher and I had to use a Christian song. That's one I would come. It's an 80s song. Okay, fine. But yeah. You used to play it on Headbangers Ball. That was different. See Stryper and then you see King Diamond. That is quite the pendulum. All right. But Rivera did respond to the Daily Beast piece defending his support of Donald Trump on Fox and Friends. He talked about his devout Christianity that was strengthened by his belief that prayer served and saved his unborn son, who was expected to die after his pregnant wife contracted chickenpox, before answering questions about his support of Trump. And he says he was a friend of mine before he became the president, so because he's the president, I'm going to turn my back on him? No. And he says he respects him, respects what he does, believes he's doing the best for America. Rivera directly addressed the criticism of the Daily Beast over his relationships with certain pro-Israel groups. And I got to tell you this, I really like this quote. My Savior, Jesus Christ, he's a Jew. How am I going to turn my back and say I won't support Israel? I whether you agree with it or not, I think it's a respectable opinion. I'm going to say that. And I did think that the Daily Beast had a hit piece. In fact, the comments that were put on after the piece, I'm reading some of them here. Rivera equals class. Great ball player. Sounds like a good man, too. Congratulations, Mr. Rivera. Keep doing what you're doing. Mariano Rivera is the epitome of the American dream. He talked about being so poor in Panama that the first baseballs he had access to were made of paper, old fabric, and electrician's tape. His politics are not far right. They are based on liberty, self-determination, perseverance, and hard work. That's why so many people want to come to the United States. Okay, those are some of the things right there. I really think that Robert Silverman's piece is going to... I don't know if it's going to backfire on him. I kind of, hey, writer's got his own opinions and all that. But it was a hit piece, and I don't think a lot of people are really coming down on Mariano Rivera after that. I will say that Yahoo tried to say, well, he was on Fox News. Well, he was on CNN. It's gotten to that point. I'm Marky Billson. We do this every day, weekdays, noon to 2. Tri-City Sports Now. Colin Coward's next.